Let's go, let's go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very excited about this party today. I've been dreaming about AI for the last, 3 months or 4. It's been part of my daily life. It changed my habits. It changed my everything, basically. And the power about the nowadays, it's I don't think in humanity we had this kind of revolution. And for me, it's like what I would imagine that it would take 5 years, 10 years to build, we could maybe build within a year and maybe sometimes within weeks. And I'm very excited about today because it's all about AI. We have Zach with us today. Welcome, mate.
Thank you.
And I'm very excited because he's been working exactly on setting up AI agents independently, OpenClaw mostly, but then we're going to explore a lot about AI, the tools, the technology, how it's developing. Obviously, it's amazing because I think we are all learning with it, and it's every day there's something new. But before I come with anything else, welcome, mate. And
Thank you.
let's start with you. Where are you from? How did you come up with that? I think 20 years ago or 10 years ago, we wouldn't be studying AI as we are doing today.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to learn a little bit more. And how did you get here?
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, and love to be here, be able to talk about AI automation. It's a thing I live and breathe, so it's awesome to be here to be able to talk about it. So I'm from the Sunshine Coast originally, born and raised for first kind of 20 years of my life, and then I've lived overseas for a while with my fiancée. And
Where'd you go?
Germany.
Oh,
Yeah. So
Deutsch. Sprichst du Deutsch?
Ich spreche auch Deutsch.
Oh.
Kannst du auch Deutsch reden?
Ein bisschen.
Ein bisschen? Ja.
Ein bisschen.
Bist du eigentlich fließend?
Nein.
Nee?
Ich arbeite in Mallorca. I worked in Mallorca.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
so
Awesome.
it's like the 17th state of Germany.
Yeah,
And I learned
legit.
a little bit of German.
Yeah.
But not practice anymore. So do you have family there? What's the connection with Germany?
Actually, when I first met my fiancée, I met her parents. Actually, it was a very, very short story. I met her mum in Melbourne for the very first time. And I realized when I met her that when we were sitting in the restaurant and Sabina, my fiancée, had gone off to the bathroom briefly, and I was sitting there and I realized at that moment, I'm like, I don't speak German and she doesn't speak English. And so I'm sitting there like in this restaurant, like pointing at stuff on the walls, like, yeah, nice looking painting, stuff like that. It was just so awkward. And I'm like, all right, this to work long term, I probably need to either learn German or, she needs to learn English or whatever. And so the first time we went overseas together after we finished our school, our studies and so forth, I went over there and started learning German.
Nice.
So I took a bit of a sabbatical from uni and then learnt German. And then we, did a couple of times back and forth between Australia.
Whereabouts in Germany?
A place called near Dusseldorf.
Okay.
So Dusseldorf, Cologne, and another place called Aachen. So we lived, So we lived there kind of between there for about 6 years and lived in total Germany for about 2.5 years. So worked and played there and traveled and so forth and became fluent in German. So yeah, it was good fun, but big benefit was being able to speak to her parents as well.
Yeah,
so,
perfect. Yeah. And then so after all of that adventure, you came back?
Yep, came back. So now here permanently, and I was studying in school and uni. I was studying IT and engineering and business as well. So business management and IT was my main degree.
Perfect.
And I worked in like IT, like MSPs, so managed service providers, doing IT support, IT engineering for better part of a decade. So been doing that for a long time. And then a couple of years in, I had a bit of a change because I wasn't enjoying the IT space for a bit.
Yeah.
And I actually went into like fitness coaching for a while. And during that time, I ended up finding myself bringing these skills that I had learned from IT into my coaching business. And I was automating these processes, but I just didn't think about it. Like it was just
came.
It just came like, oh, cool. This is continuous. This is repetitive. I'm doing this all the time. Why don't I just automate this?
For sure.
And so I had clients were like asking me, oh, I noticed this was consistently coming through. Like the experience was getting better for people because it was consistent. Check-ins going out, onboarding, all that kind of stuff. And a few friends and also my partner as well. They were like, why don't you do this as a business? And I had a couple of businesses asking me at the time. They're like, could you do this for us? Like it just wasn't a big thing back then to think about it. So it wasn't mainstream like AI. And I just started doing that. And then I took on a couple of clients. And then before I knew it, people were asking me about doing automating their business and implementing AI into their business. And before you know it, we've got EliteSystems AI, and now we've
Perfect.
been doing it for the past few years.
That's great, mate. And obviously, it's when did you start Elite? Just so we have a
In
time frame.
July 2024,
So
when we officially opened the doors.
Yeah, we technically going for a second year now.
Yep.
And so you'd consider it like a baby. And the thing is now, like I believe, like within these last year and a half too,
Oh yeah,
you've seen a huge difference on what you can automate and how you do it.
exactly.
So can you talk a little bit about what you've experienced in the last year of
Yeah,
growth?
absolutely. I think the big boom of realistically when ChatGPT was first released, everyone went crazy. That was kind of what brought AI mainstream, and people started realizing the power of artificial intelligence in a business context.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people still use it as like a fancy Google, and that's using a chat model like ChatGPT or Claude is the baseline of what you could do, but it kind of brought more automation and like business process automation and AI into businesses as like more mainstream. So people started looking at that more and thinking, oh, okay, so if AI can do this, like what else can it do? And so that kind of like ventured people into thinking like if these particular pieces of technology can be put into my business, then what could I automate? What's possible? Could we free up time to go and focus on higher leverage things? And so the way I've kind of adapted that technology is to use it as a tutor. Like, I mean, I've got a lot of skills that I've built up over my tech career, but also using it as a tutor to learn different things, to problem solve, to come up with new ideas of how to automate different things in a business. And the biggest part for me is really because, we'll talk about like AI hype and what's real, what's not, all that. But realistically, my lens that I view everything in AI through is how do I actually use this technology to the benefit of a business? How does this improve number one, the top line, but also the bottom line? And it's not about like taking jobs from people. It's about leverage. It's just a whole leverage game.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the way that I've gone through and adapted the technology has been initially just looking at like what are the processes that a business does?
Yeah.
And then how do we map that into a specific workflow, a documented process? And that is how all automation works. And that's how also you get the best results out of AI as well.
For sure.
Because a lot of people will kind of go into AI and they'll be like, hey, go and do this thing. But then if they don't give it proper instruction, then they'll be constantly trying to backfix everything because it's like, oh, no, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean that. I want you to do it like this. And so it causes a lot of the frustration with AI.
Yeah, even for the regular user, when you do
Exactly.
the simple photo, change this to this,
Yeah.
it didn't get to that. Then you change from that one to the next one, it gets even worse.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then it's even worse. No, I
Yeah.
don't want 4 arms. I just wanted 3.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
it goes
yeah.
all the way. So I feel like the prompt, obviously, and all of that prompting engineering and
Yes.
all of those documents that you have to also back up your MDs and all the soul, everything about the agents, all of that structure. So I find it very interesting that obviously you also within your business, a part of you helping businesses automate that, you've automated in a different way from a year and a half ago to nowadays.
Yep.
And obviously this conversation in the beginning, I didn't want to go too technical. So I wanted like for the business owner or for an employee even that is taking a lot of tasks that are just repetitive tasks or whatever.
Yep.
I'd like to hear your input around what's easy for now. What's the first few takes that they could do in a few steps to get something done already, and what's the difference between that's easy that they could do today for someone like Elite AI, with your EliteSystems, your company, where you actually go next level. What's that difference? What is the usual person that doesn't know anything about it that could do already, like in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they could explore and it would benefit already them versus what you do after that?
Yeah. No, it's a good question. So I think in terms of things that people can start to do now, I would be looking at if you want to dive a little bit into automating certain processes and implementing AI, I'd be looking at off-the-shelf solutions. So number one, behind anything that anyone does in terms of automation and AI, always look at capturing your existing process. So that's number one.
And how do you capture?
So
Notes or what's the
exactly, yeah. So I would have a repository.
Okay.
Just have a database repository, fancy word for
Yeah.
literally a Google Drive folder.
Okay.
And then have your SOPs built in there. So just documenting, say someone has a task of they need to onboard a new client into their business. And so with that, every single business would have steps that they would follow. But the challenge with a lot of businesses is that lives in someone's head. It usually lives in a particular staff member's head. And so going to that person or having someone who even comes in and says, all right, what is the step-by-step workflow that you do to onboard this client?
Right.
And once you've done that process, you don't even have to do the full automation of that process. You could even just say, use something like Zapier to go through and say, all right, well, when they sign the dotted line, they sign the contract, sign the agreement, then the next step would be, they need to be onboarded into, let's just say like Kajabi, right?
Yeah.
Course platform, we give them access to XYZ. You could go into, say, Zapier, and you have literally a 2-step workflow, just 2 nodes, super simple, and say, when
Zapier is, just to clarify, Zapier is a CRM. Is a CRM?
Zapier is like an automation platform. Allows you to glue different things together. So glue platforms and allows you to automate workforms.
Right.
But it's a very reason I recommend that is it's very, for people who are not familiar with automation and AI, it's a very good starting point for automating processes because it's very user friendly.
For sure.
Versus some of the other solutions are a lot more in depth. You can do more things with them, but they're more complex and there's a higher learning curve.
Maybe when you come in, but
exactly.
But let's keep going with that beginner stage or someone that so they go Zapier. They have obviously the notes or the Google Drive where they have all the tasks and whatever they need to do, the steps to get their work done. And then through Zapier, what do they do with that?
So inside of Zapier, you can usually connect several platforms. So let's say an example is they've got a Dropbox document where they sign something. The client needs to sign the document. So inside of there, you can actually connect that into Zapier. That can be the trigger point. So as soon as someone signs and sends a document back, that triggers the rest of the onboarding. And so from there, you could say, all right, we want to give them access to Kajabi. You'd connect Kajabi into
and what's
Zapier. Kajabi is just basically like a course platform and community platform. So you can host courses on there. You can host communities.
Right.
I just threw that out as an example. There's lots of examples.
Because it could be,
for sure.
To clarify. And also, when I imagine that it could be connected to my calendar through Zapier. And so the task goes into my calendar. So, because there's a moment when a few things need to be done by myself, while a few can be automated. So it could be like, I approve this. So it goes into the next step. And then it glues into other steps.
Exactly.
It could be mapped out in that document.
Exactly. And that's why the initial capturing of the process is so important.
Okay.
Because if they don't have that, they'll try and create something, but then they realize, actually, no, we do this step here and this step there, and it changes the whole workflow. Whereas if you capture what you're doing already, then you can just simply go through and it'll make your whole life easier in terms of we do this step, then this step, then this step.
For sure.
And so that's just an example of 2 things they could do and say that might take them 10 or 20 minutes to go and do something like that in the beginning. And now it would be automated. So every time someone comes on board, they activate that workflow and it continues on.
And a platform like Zapier, it can also connect, for example, sending out SMS or email automatically once whatever X task is done, send an SMS. That's where it connects all the platforms to then send it out or automate whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah. And then so from that point, I suppose just circling back to the side of where AI has developed in terms of automation, it's been since the ChatGPT boom. We've gone from traditional automation, which is if this happens, then do this, to now you've got more nuance in what you can actually do. So an example of that existing workflow might be like, all right, well, every single person who comes on board, we want AI to go and do research on that person, send them an email that is part of that particular Zapier workflow that onboards them. And so you might have a step in there that generates a personalized email for that person to say, hey, welcome on board. So grateful to have you here.
There's proactivity almost from the other side as well.
Exactly. So you can add personalization to the existing workflows, and that would be where you'd step into AI automation. So you're adding intelligence into a workflow that can decide specific paths to go down based on some type of logic that needs to go into it.
And how accurate is it at the moment? Like, for example, let's say I spoke to a client. I had this whole conversation. I got it through Granola. Granola is a platform that takes all the notes and transcribes the meeting. I put that into my notes. For example, this is the feedback from my client. And obviously, I want this AI to digest all of this information and do XYZ, as you said, personalization or whatever it is. Would you trust nowadays already that the answer that will provide and the context would be accurate, or how far are we from that? Because obviously from that proactivity, I'm just afraid of, I let it decide what's the content or the personalization or customization for a client.
Yep.
But maybe he sent out an email that actually was not as accurate. It was not talking about what we wanted to, or how close are we, or how far from that?
We are well and truly
Just
able to do that. Yeah, it's because a lot of it comes down to now how you prompt AI. So it comes back into the prompt engineering, and you can mix, say, static part of let's just say it's an onboarding email.
Yeah,
you could have a static part of it that's the same for every single person, and maybe the first part is changing based on the person's name. So that's like what they call a variable, and within that you might have a blurb in there which is AI generated. But beyond that, you can still even have what they call human in the loop areas within a workflow where it says, I want you to pause at this point, say after it generates the email, to approve this to go out. And so they're not having to go and necessarily do it, but they can have a human in the loop that it goes and approves that and clicks the button, says that looks good, and send it out. But a lot of the quality of the output, and this is the same for any single use of AI, is the quality of the input.
As the same as between humans, right?
Exactly.
If I give you the right the right input for you to do something, you'll do the right way. Or that sounds great. Where does it starts to become a little bit more professional, like to the next level, which is like, I cannot in 5 minutes set it up. Where do you find that difference?
I'd say when you start to move to multi-step workflow that requires chaining of different actions, and it can become quite complex.
For sure.
So maybe you've got an onboarding process that happens over a period of a few weeks. And within that, several actions need to happen where, first week you've got the first day they're doing X, Y, Z. Those ones are fine. But then you've got, okay, we need to check to see if they've gone and done this X, Y, Z action. Have they achieved this milestone? And so the more logic you add into something where certain things can go wrong in a system, that's where you start to add complexity. So it's usually around complexity of a system. And the more logic that goes into that, you need to connect more platforms together. Maybe they don't have a direct integration with something like Zapier. And so then you need to go and look at the back end of a particular platform and say, all right, we need to connect to this API over here, which allows us to do X, Y, Z. So a scenario like that, you'd need to create custom logic to be able to handle those specific workflows. And that's where we step in beyond those basic steps for obviously for people who are either not tech savvy, or they are, but they can't be bothered to do it, or businesses who value their time enough where they're like, look, this is not my specialty, and I would rather hire an expert who's going to get less mistakes to do this. That's kind of where we come in to help people with that.
Yeah, perfect. And that's where I think we already heading into having full companies firing people because they got to that point where they could automate or whatever. So how do you see the future? So I'll just start. This is what I see, and I would like to pick your brain. We'll be all kind of superhumans. I thought we were already kind of superhumans with a phone on our hands because we could give you an answer in 5 minutes just by researching on Google. Back in the day, this was 10 years ago. And nowadays, I feel like we can actually have full enterprises almost, where if you have maybe one head per department, you sort it, basically. Is that how you see it? Like the structures of companies, let's say between the operations, the marketing, the sales, the design or whatever, and you just need to supervise basically your agents. Is that how you see companies? How do you see the future?
Yeah, I think it's going to be twofold because it's a very interesting thing. I'll link back into that from this, but these applications that I use to build various workflows, automations, AI agents, whatever you want to call it. And I find myself now working more than I ever have.
True. Me too, actually,
which
is weird.
It is weird. It's a catch-22 because it's like, well, you would think a lot of this stuff is going to automate it, but then I think the nature of humans is the same. We always want progress. We're always looking for the next thing.
For sure.
And so for us now, we've realized how much leverage it can create, or the people who are catching on to this have realized how much leverage it can create. So I think that, yes, it's going to be a mixture of potentially less, but more quality in terms of what we're doing in the work. So there might be less people, but you've got more agents that are in a business able to supervise and do something, but it's also going to create more work overall because you'll go and find new things to do. There's
Yeah,
always going to be new
the
levels.
companies start to lift and everybody
Exactly.
lifts and the
Yep.
services lift and everything lifts.
Exactly. And so as a result of that too, it means that we are able to also focus on high leverage, number one, but also things that we enjoy more. And so if we have more people focusing on more things they enjoy and less things on what they don't,
Exactly.
then you're going to have a lot more people who are inspired to show up to work. You're going to have different economic opportunities. So, I mean, that's just, again, it's my perspective.
Yep.
Like I'm automating different processes and businesses all the time. And what I see I kid you not, every single time has been they start realizing what the opportunities are and they think, oh, wow, like what else can we do?
Exactly.
Like it's not been like, oh, sweet, I'm going to sit back now and do nothing, you know?
Exactly.
So I think that's the direction that we're going to go in. And yeah, potentially maybe in the short to medium term, there might be some displacement in terms of like people not knowing exactly what to do. But realistically, the way I see it is even in the past, we had the same thing. Like
same thing with the horses going into cars and then tractors and then obviously all of that and then lifts and elevators and then everything you can imagine and obviously electricity, everything that we're running. I think you wouldn't tell anyone 100 years ago that would be sitting here and this would add value to people overseas or anywhere in the world and be like, oh, is that how the world works? Nobody can imagine. So when I picture in 100 years, I think we definitely don't know what's going to happen like for certain. We even talking about living forever, we shouldn't know, downloading our consciousness into something, which is all other ways. Like I didn't want to go too much into that. I would like to focus a little bit more on today, what's happening, just to add value to that side as well. But let's go a little bit more on where do you today, because I know that the disparity, I think that's the big thing is you either pick up the train now because we're all excited as I guess Jeff Bezos was back in the 2000s, beginnings of the 2000s and created Amazon and it would be like, what are you selling books? What's that? And now we are in that moment of AI. I feel like it's like the first few years and now we're seeing all of that potential. Where do you still feel that it fails? Where do you see any, because from my imagination, it goes beyond our imagination, almost like that. Where do you see that it fails at the moment, that it's not possible to do something? Or is it possible to do anything? Where do you see that barrier? Like where's that line? I don't know.
I think a few key things. Human judgment.
Yeah.
So I think probably everyone's had this fatigue of AI slop content that's come out on the internet.
For sure.
But I would say the challenge with that is that most of that has come from lack of data, because any forms of AI content that's being created and is usually that's been AI slop anyway, comes from lack of prompting, lack of data, lack of ability to get the right outputs because of the wrong inputs.
Yeah.
And in terms of the limitations of AI, I'd be looking at the strategic thinking, nuance of like specialty as well, things that you can only really get from spending so much time in a particular field, because AI is a generalized intelligence and you can make it very specific, but it still requires, just like a staff member would, it still requires nuanced training and experience on a particular thing, doing a particular thing for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's why I always tell people, like, when you're training AI, it comes down to how much context you've given it and how much training you've given it, just like you would a staff member. You wouldn't expect them to come in, but still, even with that, it's the nuance, it's like the human judgment, even the levels of empathy that an AI can have. It's still limited in that sense. So it's not like, it's very hard to say some of the things it can't do.
Yeah.
But I would say still the things that uniquely make us human are still the limitations of AI.
For sure. The question will be, how long will it take to actually learn all of that data?
Yeah.
Because I've listened to news the other day where in China they are already, even with kids, they are monitoring their brains and what they learn and all of that to then give data. And the same way now, I think in manufactories, they're filming all how they move the hands of all the manufacturing, so you can automate all of that. So I feel that now the data centers of all of what you're saying, which is the amount of data, the human judgment, how I believe in the future will have the same cameras and AI analyzing all the judges in the world inside the court. So they understand how we think and what's the constitution and all of that. So obviously when we go into that, I really start to be like, and you listen to some of these CEOs and they are afraid. So if they are afraid, it's like, where are you going? But before going into that, I just wanted to give add a little bit more value. From that repository that he said, I like that word, but going for the Google Drive or for that document, it's something that I've been doing, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's the first thing nowadays that you should do is actually to put kind of all of your life described in one document. So where were you born? How did you grow up? What do you believe? What are your values? What you want for life? What's your goal in life? Where are you at? If you have family, if you don't, just giving all of that context. Then you do the same for your professional life. A little bit I did either separate or same document, doesn't really matter. So when you give this scope and you put it into and you connect it with either Claude or ChatGPT or all of these platforms, then obviously the answers will be a lot better because it will answer around your. Would you say this would be the first step for anyone watching out there to organize their lives in documents at the moment, where they're at, their goals, everything, so you can actually extract the best output of the AI for the daily use? Because I feel that everybody was like, oh, give me this email, give me this, what's this or what's that? But nowadays we're going into more detail, which is, knowing what you know about all of these documents, that it's like a full 10-page document, because the AI can always rely on it to give you the answers or the right answers based on your life. Is that what the people should be doing already?
Yeah. It's like a life system prompt.
Yeah.
So
would you say that would be the basis, like something that everyone should do from now onwards?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, alluding back to what we were talking about before with the quality of the input equals the quality of the output. And if you put trash input in there not to come up with any other word
or
for
nothing.
It, or nothing, or nothing, or they don't
nothing.
put anything, and that's the problem. They just want an output directly, but they don't give the proper instruction to it. And so if you can put in your values, your identity into a system as a baseline of how you interact with an AI, then its responses are going to be contextually relevant to what you've put into it. Exactly. So having, even your background, your skills, what you do, even like probably from this point too, to make it even better, because AI understands AI best, you would ask it to interview you to create some type of identity document that it can then operate from, and how it interacts with you, what it says, the outputs it gives you, and ask it to ask you the specific questions to give it the best knowledge so it can actually give you the proper output.
I love that framework around because for majority of people, they could even say, I don't even know.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty. You can ask the AI, what should he ask you to reply to it? So even if you have questions about it, ask those questions to AI. Like, how can I improve your performance while replying to what I'm telling you to reply to? Or to give me the output that I want? Why are you not achieving that? So if you question AI, he actually will give you those answers. And I think that framework, it's a lot different from, a lot of people are using like Google, for example.
Yeah.
But if you use it in a way that actually is relevant for your daily tasks, even about knowing what do you buy weekly on your groceries, and then you can have your updated groceries, whatever it is, even for the daily life. So I think majority of people are still not applying these things, but even because that's what I wanted to get is a bit of that beginner work that needs to be done. Because when it comes to approach someone like you to then go to the next level, having all of this makes your work also easier. So if someone has a genius, because ideas, I feel that everyone has ideas in everywhere, and you could come up with a business idea for like tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if you have all of this set up, it will help someone like you, because then I can say, I have this business idea. I cannot set up at this level because of the multi-layer and everything. I want to approach also OpenClaw. But once I have all of this, is something that will be easier for you to then implement to actually put all of this together.
Yeah.
Is that right? Like, do you have that process with your clients? Is that how it works when they give you, we have the business, or we have the business idea? Do you have the difference between those? How does it work? Like,
So how we would approach, you mean in the sense of like if someone was to come to us and they wanted to implement a specific thing like an automation, AI agent,
exactly,
et cetera?
because you have established businesses and you could have an idea, right?
Yep.
You could have both, and you could say, actually for the business idea, I would need X, Y, Z, because you don't have still the platforms, the context, the whatever. It's just an idea.
Exactly.
So how do you manage that? Have you ever taken a business idea, or you always take someone that has operational tasks already going on? Is that
We've worked with businesses who are just starting, and we commonly would work with people who have an established business for the most part.
Yeah.
Because you'll find that AI can be helpful if you already know what you want and you can clearly articulate that. Same thing as the quality of input, quality of output. But it typically works the best if you've got established process already. It will struggle a lot if you try to implement AI on a business that doesn't have clear process. And the thing is, most of the time, people do have clear processes, but they haven't documented them. They don't understand. It's just living in someone's head, and so they're kind of scrambling. But if they actually took the time to get it out of their head or get it out of their staff member's head, they would find that they would be able to automate and implement a lot of AI and free up so much time for leverage. And so when we work with businesses, what we find is that if they do come to us with an idea, they need to have clear requirements, clear input of what we need to do to create the systems for say they're going to launch a business and launch the idea. But I would say it works best when you've got pre-established process.
Yeah.
An example of this is we're working with a business that's kind of doing around 15 to 20 mil a year at the moment. And they are amazing to work with because they have a clear process in mind already.
And registered and everything is written.
Exactly. And to be fair, even the people they've got clear people who are responsible for clear things, they understand the process. And so when I can ask them the strategic questions to pull that out of them, I call it process mining.
Yeah.
Then we can just go through and it makes our job so much easier because we can go, oh, cool, we just do this, 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 and this. And then we have to go and figure out what's the technical specifications, what either can we do the whole process, can we automate the whole thing or implement AI to help with this, or is it a portion of the process due to, say, platform limitations? So typically, if the clearer they have their processes already, the better it will be in terms of what we can actually do for them.
For sure. And have you seen, obviously it's all young, but have you seen in the last year some example from someone that actually started applying and having that company automated and going from, I don't know, 1 to 5, or like actually going from the same amount of people working on it, but with the automation, they can give a lot more output on the sales side and all of the concept and imagining and creating. Have you seen those examples where they thrive just by automating their business?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there's so many processes. We've worked with different businesses. So, and because we work with various sizes of businesses, some people, part of it just depends on how big they want to grow.
Yeah.
Not everyone wants to have a huge corporation. Some people just want to have a lifestyle business, and that's fine. But yeah, like a perfect example is we implemented recently a system that does reporting, automated reporting, where it pulls data from client accounts for advertising, and it'll basically clean all the data, find the key information, run that through AI, and see what is the improvements that we can make on this particularly, and then it maps it to specific actions. It sends it to the person responsible. They literally have like a punch card and they just go, yep, that looks great. I want that improvement. Yep, cool. No, I'll leave that one out. They submit it and the system literally goes and implements it for them. And it's basically this automated loop of improvement. And that was implemented even 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
And all their clients are now going, like, what did you do this month? Like, what's happened? Like we're getting way better results already.
For sure.
And so it's already starting to come in from that type of improvement. But on another side of things, it could be we've worked with businesses where we've automated a process of one of their particular ones. We work with a few health coaches, and I'd done a lot of blood work automation, so extracting data, doing analysis, and then it still runs by the coach to make sure it's correct. But they'd spend it could be a couple of hours or 30 minutes up to a couple of hours to do a particular analysis of this client. And now it's down to 5 minutes because they're able to just have all the information. They don't have to go and copy data from like a spreadsheet from a document into a spreadsheet somewhere.
For sure.
And so they've been able to scale and take on more clients and not really have to change any of their headcount or hire more people to do that.
Now, even on the all of the health industry, because I still remember going for blood analysis or whatever, and it took like a week until you receive. And I can believe that in some cases when some more like topics like cancer or something like that could be like days of pain until you receive the results. But if everything comes faster because you have those results. There's no human analyzing and all of that. You don't need nights. You need just a few hours and it's done.
Yep.
And I feel that it's also saving lives and time on all of that.
Yeah.
A part of that, I find it amazing that we also think a lot about the philosophical between the lifestyle versus, because not everyone wants to be just busy and working and being a billionaire. A lot of people just want to set up a nice business that makes enough money to live, do some traveling, and you don't need to be spending 12 hours in your business a day doing all of that, like all of those tasks that you know that could be automated. So I feel that actually a lot of our revolution will be also lifestyle revolution. Which comes to the point that obviously in places like cold places like Germany or Northern Europe, or people are moving into places like Sunny Coast, Gold Coast, or the southern end of Europe, or whatever it is, and it will give us the freedom to live from anywhere even more. Like if before, we know that in COVID a lot has shifted in terms of lifestyle, but now with the automation, it will be even bigger revolution in my opinion, because you'll start to learn all of that and how you do that. So I feel that your job is very relevant, obviously, because you might be fully booked on, you need to get more agents to do the work that you need. But how automated is your own business? I'm actually interested because on the sales side of things, which means, because I do mostly sales, and I feel that we still need humans in sales. It's like that last thing of I'm trusting, and it's funny because we have some AI calling, cold calling sometimes, and I receive cold calls from AI, and I'm fine with that. But majority of people are not. Majority of people are like, I don't want to speak with AI. I want to speak with a human.
Yeah.
And do you feel that difference? Like even for your own company, what's automated, where the human needs to be coming up? Where's that?
I think similar to what we talked about before, where baseline information. There's some people that I'll cover it in two spots, because I find there's different industries where some people don't really care about talking to someone. They're like, cool, I just want to get some information so I can make a decision if I take this thing or not. Other industries, say around service potentially, where they might need to speak to someone because of nuance. So I find that I've got a portion of mine where we've got automated outreach to people who will reach out about something, or if they inquire with the business, then they can get information like that. But there's still aspects of my business that are still human orientated. So where they might need more nuance and more personalization, I have a lot of personalization that I use in terms of AI, but then the last call. So I've got a bit of human in the loop around like, all right, yep, this looks good. We've got a personalized proposal for this person that's been built by AI, but then I'll go through and I'll still review what's in there, so it doesn't just go out to someone. Even though I probably could just be like, you know what, it's close enough to what I would get it to, and improve it, but I still add that little piece of touch in there just to make sure, because I want people to feel like someone is looking after them.
Yeah,
because that's the biggest thing. It's like if I could just probably automate everything and say, you know what, I don't want to take any calls with people. I'm just going to have everything fully automated. I can make it seem as much like me, but there's still little aspects where I like to add a little bit of human touch to it. And that just makes people feel a bit more taken care of. But then there's other areas in the business where they might just need some information. For example, if someone calls my phone, I'm on permanently do not disturb, and I've got it redirecting to an AI agent that is basically like a second brain, so it can answer questions about my business. They can book in calls if they want to, so it's connected to different things like my calendar or different calendars and so forth. So
how does it reply? Can I call you?
You can call me if you want to. Yeah. I don't know if it goes through straight away.
I'll call you and I'll put in in a loudspeaker. I want to hear your AI. I'm curious. This is a podcast. Here we go.
Give it a try.
Let's call Zach.
Hey, you've reached Zach's phone. They're a little tied up right now. What can I do for you?
I'd love to speak with Zach.
I understand. Zach isn't available at the moment. May I ask who's calling and what this is regarding?
What is he doing?
I'm not sure of the specifics, but I can assure you he'll call you back once he's free. Can I take a message for you?
Sure. Can you tell him that I love him and we will take over the world?
That's sweet. Just to confirm, confirm, may I have your name?
Diogo.
And is this personal?
It's very professional.
Thanks, Diogo. Thank you, Diogo. Just to clarify, is this a personal message and would you consider it urgent?
Not urgent, but important.
Got it. So I'll note that you're sending a personal message to Zach, letting him know you love him and that you'll take over the world together.
Perfect.
No problem at all. Could I get the best callback number for Zach to reach you?
Yeah. Call 0433 800 206.
Thank you, Diogo. So to recap, I'll let Zach know that you love him and that you'll take over the world together. I have your callback number as Nicole 0433 8206. Is that correct?
Thank you. That's it. Perfect.
There you go.
Wow. She's intense. She's like,
She was intense. She's more intense than I remember.
do you know what's funny? At the back, it sounded like she was busy in the middle of an office.
Yeah.
Did you set up or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, set up
Did
on
you
purpose.
change the
Yeah.
sound at the back? The
Yeah, it
background
makes it
sound?
sound like it's on a call center.
That's so funny.
To be fair, I kind of mess around with it a little bit because I'm just testing technology. So I'm like, I don't take it super seriously, but it's cool to have it there. Like some people have left me proper messages and like, oh hey, I really want to speak to Zach about something. So in scenarios like that, it's quite helpful to have something like that there.
Yeah.
But I've also got the proper, like obviously that's my personal number, but I've got the EliteSystems number, which has got its own AI agent built into it as well for specific things. So it's kind of good to have like multi-purpose, but it's kind of funny.
Nice. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Mate, I have another topic that I wanted to approach, which is the big one. It's OpenClaw.
Let's do it.
So obviously when it was launched, probably 2 months ago now or 3. I remember watching the first few videos about it and I was like, Jesus, I need to get the Mini Mac.
Yeah.
Everybody went on the Mini Mac.
Yeah.
So I got the Mini Mac. I was very excited. My wife was excited. She was like, I trust you, just go. She's also very into AI. We bought it. I started chatting with it, but obviously frustrating. It is frustrating in the beginning because you've been talking to ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. They all have, in my case, they have a bit of context. I've given them a bit of context. But all of a sudden, this is a whole new setup because obviously it's local, it's open source, you know that it has safety concerns. What can I provide? What can I not? There's a few things where I need to pay for the API. So I'm also worried about how much money am I using on tokens. So all of these are questions and I started using it. So, and after all, I'm still setting up. After 3 months, I'm still setting it out. And I feel that it's like a baby. For me, it's like having I have a 2-year-old daughter, but now I have also OpenClaw. And I'm still setting up and putting, so I installed also Obsidian. I've done now the Lobster. And obviously all of this is through tutorials and talking to Claude and how do I set up this and how to set up that. And I know that NVIDIA also brought a safety thing for OpenClaw, which I actually don't know anything about it. This is a little bit more technical for the ones at home, but if you are really into getting it to the next level on your own, maybe this is the part that you'd like to listen. So from your side, I just wanted to understand, is it that difficult in terms of also time consuming, as also you need to go through the terminal to do a few things and understand a bit of how it works and jump from here to that, and then the Google console that I had to do the auth and all of those things.
Yeah,
it's quite complex. But is it worth it, or do you reckon all of a sudden I see that Claude is coming up with all of these tools every day, and all of a sudden maybe it will be not worth it? What's your give us your take overall, because obviously you've just rode the wave of the OpenClaw, and I'd love to listen up like to a little bit more of what you can tell us about it.
Yeah. So I'll preface everything with saying I'm a huge believer in using the right tool for the right job.
Righty.
And I've seen this a lot recently with OpenClaw and Claude Code specifically, even though it's funny because there's like Codex and there's all these different platforms. There's Perplexity, Computer Use. There's all these, like Hermes is another one that's come out recently. But the thing that I look at is always through the lens of what problem am I solving, number one, and what is the best tool to help get that done. The way I see OpenClaw is, yes, there's a bit of a setup, there's a bit of a learning curve to something like this, but I'd probably preface that as well to say, this is the worst the technology will ever be. And I think considering it's only 3-4 months old, it's in a pretty good place, and they're shipping crazily fast. But coming back to what I think about the technologies, I think of OpenClaw as a generalized agent that you can use to help just take some things off your plate. Yes, it does require training, but the way I'd be thinking about it is bringing a staff member on who's going to take things off your plate. And I'd be looking at a small subset of things in the very beginning that you're getting it to do, because otherwise you just overwhelm yourself. Like you feel like, I need it to go and handle this, and go and handle my calendar, go handle the bookings for this, go and handle onboarding. It gets too hectic. And to be fair, we don't even do that from an automation perspective. When we're automating something, we go, what is the one specific process right now that we want to work with? We might have 10 different things that we want to do, but we always look to do one thing. And so when you're trying to build out these technologies or trying to build a workflow within that to handle it for you, then I'd be looking at, all right, OpenClaw, I want to go and I want you to help me handle my morning briefings. I want you to connect to my calendar. I want you to help me be prepared for the day, plan out my day, make sure I'm correctly prioritizing the right things. And doing something like that, you can be very specific. So you're not trying to do 4 different things at once. You've got just one thing. We sort that. Once that's finished, that's working, that's been tested, then you move on to the next thing. And so I would say the benefit of having OpenClaw is that it is generalized in nature, but you can still build specific things with it. And so because of the nature of how it operates, you've got various things that it can do, such as if you want something to occur on a schedule, say your morning briefing, like what's on for my day, what is it looking like? You can have it set up every single morning at 7 a.m. to go and pull your calendar, pull the information, and then do it that way.
And then is it dangerous to have your own calendar set it up or leak? And that's the concerns I've seen around is to what extent do you actually provide that information to an OpenClaw agent that could be hacked quite easily, from what I heard. That's all I heard. Give me just a bit of a scope on that.
Yeah. Valid concern. I think it's less of a concern these days if you set it up correctly. So we go through a series of steps to make sure it's as secure as possible. Obviously, the risk is never zero, but realistically, there's huge companies that are being hacked as well still. So you're never 100% safe, but you can do a lot of steps to make sure that you're as secure as possible. And
probably how relevant is your information as well. How relevant would be, my calendar is I have this meeting, this meeting, this meeting. So probably calendars are not. For example, if you talk about credit card, what I've done was I just have a specific card for OpenClaw, which is I still give a little bit, sometimes I need tokens or APIs or whatever. And I still need, nowadays, a lot of the verification steps, like even through Google, you need to prove that you're an adult, you need to give your ID, so I'm just afraid of those things sometimes through OpenClaw because then you start to give a lot of information in that little machine and it could be hacked. But that's where you measure to what extent are you afraid of being hacked or not.
And what I've done and what I typically recommend people do in the very beginning is, just like you said, you give it a specific dedicated email, dedicated account, dedicated cards, dedicated everything. And then you just strategically, slowly start to give it access to things that you want it to have access to. So you give what they call a delegated permission. So you delegate, say, your mailbox access to it with, say, read-only access, so it can't send any emails. So things like that. And then in addition to that, if you are layering it with things like NVIDIA's NemoClaw, locking it in, creating a sandbox environment so that it's got traceability, it has basically just a smaller blast radius of what can realistically happen with it. If you create, we put something on there called Tailscale as well, just an application that creates a private network. So only people who are authorized on your Tailscale account can actually connect in to your specific devices, locking down your ports, turning on like firewalls. It's obviously moving a bit more in the technical weeds for sure.
The Nemo, does it have a cost?
It's free.
It's free.
Yeah, it's all open source.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's just a plug-in with that. It does need a bit of a setup to do it, but it's not crazily complicated, but can be slightly technical depending on who you are.
Yeah.
But just to come back also to your point around thoughts around Claude Code and everything that's coming out with that. So OpenClaw is the generalized agent, and I look at Claude Code as I use all of them, by the way. Same thing as I use the right tool for the right job. I use Claude Code for, I have a very narrow thing. It's like a scalpel. It's a very specific problem that I want to solve, a system I want to build, and I'll go out and work with Claude Code to do that.
Right.
And to be fair, like a lot of people, they pick a side with that. I don't pick sides because I don't really care at the end of the day. I'm like, what's the best thing for your business? What problem are we solving? What's the best tool we think we can do that's going to has the highest likelihood of achieving that for you? And then we use that one.
Of course.
So for me, I use Claude Code for developing out specific systems, and then I'll even hand those to OpenClaw to manage them. Because Claude Code, by nature, I know they're trying to release different features about that, but I rather just have them focus on the things they're best at doing. I love Claude Code and Codex and so forth for developing specific systems. Then I'll hand them over to OpenClaw to run them. So doing things like that, and they just work together for me. So that's kind of the way I view things and the way I recommend most people approach it.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I feel like it's funny that 3 years ago we were all using ChatGPT, and all of a sudden you have people saying, "Oh, but ChatGPT is dumb now."
Yeah,
like everybody chant now it's Claude, and eventually in a year will be something else. And I feel that this revolution is just amazing because every day there's literally something new. Even Perplexity, I'm trying to pick up and still try it, but I don't have time to be trying on a higher level all of them, because then you train one and then you need to set it up again, and then it's quite complex. Actually, have you tried the new Perplexity computer or no?
I'm kind of the opinion like, look, this will probably help the audience a lot too. There is so many tools out there, and a lot of them are competing for the same thing. So like I'm always trying new different technologies, and I've used Perplexity in the past too, and I've seen they've got that. But realistically, I'm like, well, I've got tools that can do the same thing right now. So I'm like, should I go and create a new thing if it's going to be marginally better, or I've got something that has my existing context? I'm not going to have the opportunity cost of, now I have to get rid of this one, or I have to transfer all the context over and spend the time building this. I'm like, all right, well, does it do the same thing that the other tool could do to 95% of that, and I'll get the results out of that? Yes, cool. Then I'll just stick with that.
Yeah, and someone like you know exactly, as you said, what to use when and where and how. Where I find Perplexity is that actually you just give the problem and he will point you down a part of the task. Where should you go and which one should you require to use?
Yeah, definitely.
Which is amazing. But at the end of the day, it's all new for all of us.
Yeah.
And so what's I would like to see what's coming for EliteSystems AI. What's coming in your future? What do you see in your company?
I think for us, the direction we want to go in is, prior to the whole OpenClaw boom, my whole business it's kind of perfect for us, because realistically we've taken pieces and processes from businesses and automated them. And now we're moving into this agentic era. So agentic workflows, agentic AI, where we've gone from automation, which is quite static, to AI automation, adding some intelligence. And now we're going to AI agents that can handle workflows autonomously and decide what tools they need to use, and you just need to unblock them. So for us, we're moving into very much a phase of the same business problems still exist. So we businesses still need more leads. They still need to onboard their clients. They still need to automate data entry. They still have the same problems before. We just have new tools to solve those problems in different ways. And so I look at all these advances in technology as degrees of abstraction. The same way that we've gone through the revolutions of like going through tractors and assembly lines and all these different things. It's all degrees of abstraction. Sure. So we're just zooming up a level, and now we're going to be using a lot more agentic technology to either train agents for businesses. So not just purely going in and like automating a process. We'll have also agents that will be able to go in and potentially gather that information from businesses so that we can build the right processes in the correct way. And then we can deploy that for them. And so the same way that other businesses will benefit from AI, we're going to benefit the same way, because it'll just help us with our same workflow. So that's kind of the direction we want to go in, and really just like partnering with people and working with good people and really helping them. And also another side of that too is we want to also demystify the AI space, because I find there's a lot of people talking about it's going to displace a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of job loss. It's going to be a lot of this and that. But we prefer to look at it from a practical, optimistic view, where it's looking at, if someone is doing a task that's $5 an hour for the business, And we could automate that so that they can focus on something that produces 50 or 100 or 200 or $5,000 an hour for a business.
Of course.
It's just degrees of leverage.
Exactly.
And that person probably doesn't enjoy entering data into a Google spreadsheet all day, every day.
Exactly.
So like if they can do something that's more fun for them, more nuance, requires their creativity, more strategic thinking, and even focus more on relationships as well, that's what we view it as. It's just creating more inspiring workplaces for people. So that's the direction we're moving in.
Perfect. I love it. I think also maybe one day you'll also be training robots. I feel that we're training now, obviously, agents that are doing stuff in the software side of things, but eventually you'll download and upgrade agents, robots that will do things manually and stuff like that, which there will be employees in the companies as well.
Can't wait to
that's
not
where
cook.
we're heading, I think, but a bit distant.
Yeah.
Mate, it was lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Where can I find you? Where can someone at home find you? What's your webpage or Instagram?
Yep.
Tell us.
So if you guys want to find me, it's Zach Nielsen on Instagram or elite.systems AI, and EliteSystems.ai is my website.
Perfect. Anything you'd like to say to the family or anyone at home about this future coming?
Absolutely. Start using AI now. Use AI to learn AI. And the businesses, it's not about you versus AI. It's about the people who are using AI to get ahead. That's the biggest thing. So start using it. Don't be afraid of it. Leverage it, because it's not here to take your place. It's here to help you. Just like we have with hammers and tools and so forth in the past, exactly the same thing. So don't be afraid of it. Get amongst it.
Perfect. We're all about abundance, growth, everything, and Zach is all about it as well. Thank you, mate.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.